Here we are again. It's always such a pleasure. Remember when you tried to kill me twice?
I'm in space.
Hello there, Sir from 17 once again, bringing you Chapter 5 in my Portal 2 video walkthrough. And this one is entitled The Escape. And for obvious reasons, we are getting the fuck out of Dodge, basically. And right now, you're just going to be listening to Wheatley, you're going to be following this kind of stuff. And these are some of the most interesting parts of Portal 2 I found. The areas where you weren't going, you know, the linear path of test chamber to test chamber. And you got a little bit of storytelling, a little bit of exposition. And it just, you know, the air of mystery when you were exploring these new environments. I thought that was some of the strongest parts of the game. So feel free to enjoy this section. And there's not too much strategy needed, so I'm going to continue talking about something I spoke of in the last video, which was the commentator showdown. And because it was happening and I was a little bit distracted, so the commentary is kind of weak on that, I didn't really have too much time to mention it beforehand or who I thought was going to win, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And for the most, I was pretty much correcting what I was assuming, because there were a lot of good people in that. Every single person that played in that tournament was a good player. You can't take that away from them. The YouTube channels alone prove that they are good players. But the complete and utter higher echelons of players who I thought were going to take the prize, I was definitely looking at Ronaldinho, I was looking at Mark of Jane, I was looking at the Game 360. Don't get me wrong, I love Sandy Ravage, I'm a massive Sandy Ravage fan, but any gamer will know if you don't play your console for an extended period of time, when you get back on, you are nowhere near how good you used to be. It's just fact, and it doesn't go away in a week. It takes a couple of weeks for you to get that punch back, to get that muscle memory working as it used to. It's hard to do, and he did significantly well considering that is a factor. But I didn't really go with Fearcrads purely because I know the guy does good gameplay, he does crazy high scores. I just didn't think he was going to place as high as he did, and I'm glad that I was wrong, because he truly earned it, he deserved it. It was one of those things where he really pulled it out when he needed to, and he had a bad game on, I think it was WMD, but he managed to pull it back, which was nice. No thanks to Ronaldinho's connection, unfortunately. But another thing as well, the shoutcasting that didn't really work, thanks to Fuzzy Otterballs not being the best person at doing it, was still pretty cool, because they got a party opened up, they got Trout in, they got Wings of Redemption in, and it's a shame those guys weren't a little bit louder, especially Wings. Wings was quiet as balls, but if they could have got, you know, them all on a similar audio length where they all sounded the same, they could have had a really, really good time with that, and I could have watched it all day, because the competitive edge when everyone's taking it seriously is really, really fun. And another thing to mention as well is the Syndicate Project, who is another English YouTuber. He basically does Modern Warfare 2 and Nazi Zombie videos because he doesn't like the Black Ops multiplayer. And the guy's a really, really good player, but you don't really see that because it's not what he posts. And he stayed pretty high in a lot of the games, considering that this is a guy that's predominantly known for his zombie work. So, you know, mad props to him just for placing as high as he did, because I did not expect it whatsoever. But, you know, it just goes to show, regardless of game modes, if you're a good player, you're a good player. And he was pulling M16s out and all sorts of madness, which is pretty brave. But yeah, as an overall, the live stream that I saw hit about 8,000 people watching at the same time, which is pretty good numbers. And the Filmon server, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, effectively died. So they crashed their entire server with the traffic and the numbers. So I think it was a bit of a success, and I hope they do more, because there's a lot of potential in it, purely because cherry-picked gameplays and, you know, stuff that you want people to see is all good and well, but when you put them in that kind of atmosphere where everyone is a beast, it's exciting stuff. I was really, really excited, and yeah, it's one of those things where it would have been a dream to be in on it, because I honestly believe that when you're thrown into a competitive situation like that, your game does have to rise to the occasion, and if you do, you're going to become a better player just for being in it. So it's something I would have loved to have experienced, but for the most, fantastic content, loved it. Leave comments if you feel the same. But right there, you've got to be careful on this, because it alternates a functional turret and a broken turret, and if you do your portal stuff with the functioning turret, he's going to shoot you, and you don't take a lot of damage on this game, so just be very aware that dude's going to try and fuck you up. And coming up now is an interesting little puzzle that I didn't quite understand when I first played, because it isn't completely obvious, but what you have to do is, if you stand here, they're going to scan these turrets, and every time they get a defective one, it's going to throw it. And if you catch it, you'll pretty much shorthand the entire puzzle, because you're going to go into a room that's scanning a module that is the preset for the turrets, and you have to swap out the good turrets for the bad ones. And it's a nice act of sabotage against GlaDos's, GlaDos's empire. But you come through here, that is the doorway you have to scan that's to my right that I've just walked past. The only problem is Wheatley's going to talk to you about how it's really complicated getting in the room, and he forces you to turn around, and if you don't turn around, I don't think he does the action because he breaks the window. And it's kind of funny the first time, but at the same time it's kind of annoying. It's like, just fucking do it, man. Just do the preset animation. Let's get on with it. Let's play the game. But look, he's like, turn around, then he breaks the window and makes out that he did something special when he really didn't. But throw a portal on the wall, you can then remove the turret. It's a little bit arsey when it comes to moving the fucking turrets because the physics engine is from Half-Life 2. I mean, look at that, nearly kill myself with that because I can't put the damn turret down. But once you've done that, they'll scan the defective turret in, and that door behind me will then be opened by Wheatley's skills once again, as he hacks his way in, and you can continue your way through the escape. I will say one thing though about the YouTuber scene, and this is completely personal, this is my opinion, my choice, and a lot of you may disagree, but out of all the players on YouTube that I think is the best, and I think is the highly, the most I regard as skilled is Socrates. What that guy does on Call of Duty 4 is just magic. The dude is a magician, and the Black Ops gameplay I saw from him was really impressive as well. And this is a guy who never pulls host because his connection is an average connection just like mine, and still manages to beast because he's just got it in his blood. He's a fantastic player, and I would have really have liked to see him in this. Obviously he's pursuing a career in the Navy, which excuse me, I wish him all the best with, because he seems like a super sound guy. But it's one of those, one of those dream team kind of moments where if he'd been in it, would it have been any different? I mean, if it had been on Call of Duty 4, there would have been no fucking contest. I don't care who was in it. But that's just me personally, so if anyone else has got any speculative ideas of somebody they would have liked to have seen in it, feel free to drop a comment and whatnot as we follow Wheatley through these tunnels. And for anybody that's not too big on the YouTuber scene when it comes to Call of Duty, I do apologise that I'm talking about it, but it's one of the ways I was introduced to doing commentaries, aside from the whole guide thing, which I've not really spoken too much about because I don't get that many personal questions, and it's for the better really, because this is more about a pseudonym, this is more about my persona on here doing games and doing commentaries than it is about me as a person. And I think that's a good line to have, personally, because if I was on here telling you all my fucking bleeding heart sob stories and all that kind of stuff, I think it wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't have that nonchalant, fun to it, because YouTube can be a really, really good, cool place for a catharsis, if you don't have a place to vent or somebody close to that you can speak to. So it is always nice to be able to put that out there and feel better about yourself. But for a lot of it, I just talk fluent shit, so I don't really have to feel too much better about the fact that I like to chinwag. But right now, this is one of my favourite puzzles of the game because it's subtle. And you're going to come through this room here, and there's this big machine that you have to sabotage, and it involves using a portal out of this room to put the laser into this room to cut the pipes. And I just thought that the idea was awesome. I thought it looked cool, and the visuals of the pipes falling away as they get sliced through like a lightsaber, it kind of tickled that child inside me, and I really, really liked it. So if you just fire your portal on that plate, there is 2 moving platforms in here. The first one is across on that wall, and it will cut all the arms on the left hand side. The one on the right is on the roof, and it will do the exact same. So just repeat that little formula, and get that lovely little feeling that you've just done an awesomely cool puzzle, because I really like that one. Don't ask me why, there's just something about it. I like that. Give me lasers and let me cut through pipes for days. Entertain me. Oh, it would. So very much. But once that's done, Wheatley's going to be over there in the console room doing his thing, spazzing out and what have you. And I think once everything's finished cracking, yeah, you can go forward and go into the vacuum that you see in front. But right now, I don't remember that you're supposed to do that, so I start, going up to the glass, I start listening to him talk, and there you go, it sucks us through into the surprise pipe, which is probably a euphemism for a penis or a rapist's penis, but you'll have to get back to me on that one. But yeah, Stephen Merchant's going to be doing some more conversation as we come through the Futurama-style transportation pipe. Pretty damn awesome. But yeah, I got a really big buzz from watching that. I don't know what it was. I think it's because I kept putting myself in the situation of if I was in the free-for-all, what I would have been doing and stuff like that. It's just cool. It's just really cool. And I did enjoy it. I'm not even going to lie. That is some of the coolest shit I've seen in a while. But this is pretty much a cutscene that's, you know, still in game. Valve are pretty good at keeping it in the engine because it's kind of what they're known for. And when it drops you out, it's back to some more light traversal. And there's some pretty major plot points coming up, which I don't know if you're going to get them. I don't know if you're going to, you know, be able to predict them. They are kind of obvious. And on this one, you can zoom in to fire your portals, but I generally don't do it because I'm lazy. There's no real strategy behind it. But once you're in this room, when you click on that door, it's going to be a fake door, and then GlaDos is going to say how she's trapped you again. And then the walls are going to start coming in. And the animation on these movable tiles, I really, really like that. It looks really cool. And coming from a 3D background of you know, designing, rigging, and animating stuff in a 3D space, that must have took a while to get that shit working. I mean, the luxury of it is because it's mechanical, it doesn't have to have a natural flow. And if anybody doesn't understand where I'm going with this is, for instance, if you see an animated person, because movement is so natural to you, and because you're so used to, you know, subconsciously seeing movement and seeing how humans behave, that when you watch something that someone's animated, if they do anything wrong that makes it look slightly jarring or abnormal, you're going to spot it, because it's inbred into you because you've seen it so much. It's one of those things where it's ingrained in your DNA because you know how a human moves, and anything that's mechanical is significantly easier because if you do a jarring animation or you do something, you know, that's too fast or too sharp or that doesn't have the natural arcs of how the body moves, then it's a lot easier to disguise, but it still looks really, really cool. But anyhow, GlaDos is here. She's trying to use the weapons that we've just been sabotaging, the nerve agent she kills you with, and the turrets that she dropped to try and finish us off that didn't work. And if you haven't noticed, this is kind of a pseudo boss fight. You don't have to do any fighting per se, but you are going to be usurping GlaDos from her throne, so to speak. It is a little bit of a coup d'etat. And it involves switching the core, so if you take Wheatley over here and pop him on this, it will substitute his core for GlaDos's, and we will finally overthrow the dictator that tried to kill us in the previous game. That's a good thing, right? It's a good thing. I think so. Or is it? Da-da-da. Yeah, if anybody's watching this and they're surprised that there's spoilers in it, it's like, yo, it's a fucking guide. I've played the game, I expect you to have as well. And if you're one of those people that's playing it that has no intentions of playing the game, then you're in the right minority. It's the people that want to play the game that watch the guide before they do so. It's like, why would you do that? For all intents and purposes, Portal is all about figuring out the solutions to the problems, and I would almost implore people not to use this guide because you feel so much better when you do it yourself. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you get stuck or if you get into one of those situations where, you know, you're looking at sharp objects and just thinking about child genocide, then I would totally say, yeah, use the guide, because, you know, I'm all for saving infants from, you know, fatalities and whatnot. But it's like the LA Noir guide that I'm going to be doing, LA Noir, or should I say, or what I'm probably going to call it, because I like to call things, you know, bad pronunciation, so I'm probably going to go La Noire and sound like a giant douche. But that game's going to be interesting because that's more about an experience than a game itself. It doesn't look challenging remotely, but at the same time I think it's going to bring a lot of traffic to my site, so to my channel, so I want to do it. And it's probably going to be like a 5-star case rating, you know, something like that, just to give it an edge. I know I'm not known for doing specific things aside from survival on the hardest difficulty, but you can't really do that with such an interactive game. As for the Duke Nukem guide, I'm definitely doing the Duke Nukem guide. A lot of people have tried to warn me it's going to be a bad game. Don't worry, boys. I know it's going to be a bad game. I've been playing bad games all my life. I mean, just look at fucking Chameleon Twist on the N64. That piece of shit had sequels. How the hell do you make a sequel to Chameleon Twist? It was dog shit. It made dog shit look like dog shit. It was the white dog shit of dog shit. It was just awful, truly awful. And the funniest thing about it, the developer was Ubisoft. And back in the days of the N64, if you saw Ubisoft on a game, it was a piece of dog shit. And look at them now. Just look how things have changed, how the mighty have fallen, and how these little companies have become these massive giants. So it just goes to show, you know, even bad games can go good sometime, because I know that Gearbox have got the license for Duke Nukem, and apparently at the end of Duke Nukem Forever, spoiler alert, they're hinting at possible sequels and a possible, you know, extension to the franchise. And I think the thing that Duke needs the most is a completely reimagining. I mean, just look at Devil May Cry. There's a lot of people absolutely shitting on what that game looks like, and I don't blame them, because I'm a bit traditional when it comes to Devil May Cry. I played the first one and I fell in love, and to me Devil May Cry is a dude with white hair exploring gothic castles with a giant sword and some of the tightest combat you'll find in any game. You know, tight like a 4-year-old bum. Nice little paedophile gag that should get all the people that don't like my commentaries to unsubscribe. But just awesome combat, awesome gameplay, just fucking the shit of shits. And it's looking different now. There's been some combat, and it looks like when you go into Devil Trigger, he gets his dark hair back. But for all intents and purposes, it looks like a very different game, and it's from a developer called Ninja Theory that Capcom have given full grace to do whatever they want with. And I think that's what Duke needs. Duke needs a just complete revitalization. Don't get me wrong, I want him still to be Rai, I still want the voice, I still want, you know, the references and how self-aware it is, but it just needs something different. It truly does. But speaking of Ninja Theory, I've just beaten Enslaved Odyssey to the West, and it's a game that's been kind of conflicted with me, because it's a good game, it's a really good game, but it's one of those games where I kind of didn't want to play it, but I've run out of time, people, so I'm ranting on like an old woman at a bus stop. Thanks for watching. You take care now.